Welcome everybody to the Three Gun Show. This is a match recon episode, especially for patrons with Jay Christiansen. Jay, how you doing, man?
Hey Dave, good to see you, man.
Good to see you as well. I'm excited to do this. We Jay, it's you and me basically hanging out. So for a little bit of background, you're a patron yourself, and we do like a quarterly Google Hangout, and sometimes it just ends up being you and me.
Yes, sir.
So
Yeah,
this is
but
go ahead.
oh no, yeah, it just the last couple of times we did it, it was just me and you, and pretty sure the conversations went into the 2 or 3 hour mark, if I remember correct.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, they when you get a couple three gunners talking, it's hard to shut us up. So Jay, we're gonna do the same thing here. We're gonna talk a little bit of three gun and a match that you shot, which was the Aguila Cup, and a unique match. So we're going to kind of feel our way through the usual match recon format here, and do our best. But before we do that, I want to get a little bit of background on you. So I've known you for a couple of years now. We've shot multiple matches together in Texas, but I'd like the audience to get to know you. So who are you off the range, and then when did you discover three gun?
Yeah, so off the range, I work as an outside salesman for a natural gas compression company. So basically, out running around the oil field all day. Excuse me. Also have a wife and two little daughters. So between work, a little bit of shooting, every other part of the day is playing husband and father. Um, Good times there. But outside of that, got interested in shooting pretty much like a lot of people did. Saw Three Gun Nation on TV one day a few years back and thought that was pretty cool. So wanted to get into it, and just kind of went from there. Bought my first pistol, shot a pistol match, and instantly hooked.
Yeah.
So
So you actually started the right way. You did the training wheels of a one gun match instead of just diving right into three gun.
yeah, so actually I took three gun, one gun at a time. So started with a pistol match, then went to a rifle match, then went to a shotgun match, and from there had my once I decided what division I was going to shoot in, I got all my three gun gear together and then went to my first three gun match.
Huh. Well, that sounds like a really good way of doing it rather than just buying all the gear and jumping right in and hoping you got the divisions right when you show up.
Yeah, well, I definitely had it wrong.
Did you?
Oh yeah, yeah. I started my first pistol match was with a high point C9.
No way.
Oh yeah, got to start somewhere, right?
That's awesome. Do you still have that?
I do not.
Ah.
I upgraded as quickly as possible.
Good times. Well, Jay, you've actually had quite a year so far, and last year as well. It seems like your progression in the sport has been very rapid. What do you attribute that to?
Um, to start with is the support, of course. Benny Hill and the Triangle Shooting Sports crew out of Corpus Christi kind of started hanging out with them. They sort of took me under their wing and gave me a lot of guidance, and that helped out a lot. On top of that, just tons and tons of practice. And like I've told you before, the Three Gun Show podcast, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome.
a lot of good tips and tricks coming out of those episodes from day one. I've been listening, so I give you a lot of credit for helping me out.
Well, dude, I appreciate that because it's noticeable how your progression in the sport is definitely very noticeable from someone who's been paying attention, and so thank you for that compliment. I totally appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Well, let's dig in then, shall we? So this match recon, we're talking about the Aguila Cup, and like I said a minute ago, it's a little bit unique. So we're going to cover all the uniqueness here, but why don't you take it away and start from the top? What match
Okay.
did you shoot?
So yeah, I shot the 2018 Aguila Cup there in Decatur, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
That was June 14th through 17th, if you count media and VIP day on that Thursday.
Gotcha. So you didn't have to show up on the Thursday then?
Correct. You didn't have to actually show up to start shooting as a competitor until Friday.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was at the Fossil Point Sporting Grounds, as I said, in Decatur, Texas. And it was multidiscipline match. You could shoot in either sporting clays events of multiple types, rimfire challenge, and 3-gun.
All right. So the scoring, obviously they all had their own different unique scoring, various rule sets. We always ask this question, was it on practice score? But because the Aguila Cup was aimed at clay sports, it's not the case, right?
Correct. So the initial registration, you went through a website called shotsquid.com. You went in there and registered, and you had multiple options to pick from. Basically, you would sign up for the sporting clays events. So you had the main event, which was traditional sporting clays. You had the fee task. You had 5-stand, and then rimfire and 3-gun. So you picked all the events you wanted to shoot in, and basically check them all off the list. And your entry fee would, of course, depend on how many events you chose to compete in.
Right.
Once you signed up on ShotSquid, you would then, for the clay sports side, you would have to go to another website called WinScore Online, and there you would actually squad up for only the clay events. So you would have to actually pick time slots that you were going to shoot the clay events in. The rimfire and the 3-gun was open squatting, so you didn't have to pick any time slots. You showed up anytime throughout the weekend to shoot those.
Huh. Interesting. Now, was that like a specific day, or was it literally just show up anytime and shoot them?
It was literally show up anytime. So 3-gun, you could shoot Saturday or Sunday anytime. And then rimfire challenge, you had to shoot the pistol sometime during the day on Saturday, and you had to shoot the rifle sometime during the day on Sunday.
Okay.
And the reason for that was they had the stages set up for pistol on Saturday, so they were closer in. And then Sunday they backed the starting boxes up away from the plates, longer distance for the rifle portion.
I gotcha. That makes sense.
Yes, sir.
All right. So let's see. I guess that covers schedule there. So what was the match fee?
So the match fee, 3-gun was $60. Rimfire challenge was also $60.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the 5-stand event, it was $145. The clay events, you had the prelim was $95. The fee task course was $149, and then the main sporting clays event was $299.
I gotcha. So this is like a la carte shooting here. So
basically, yeah. So the only thing that would change with any of that, the prices for each of the events stay the same, but there was also the triple threat award that they were offering people to shoot for, which you had to shoot 5-stand, rimfire challenge, and 3-gun.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you were going to go for the triple threat award, you had to shoot all three, which, then made your entry fee about $250.
Right. Okay. And you shot the triple threat, right?
I did. I tried.
So, all right. So how many shooters were at the match?
So what I could find in practice score for 3-gun and rimfire, 3-gun looked to have about 51 entrants.
Mm-hmm.
Rimfire had about 68. the the 5 stand competitors that were shooting in the triple threat, there was looks like there was 28 shooters that shot 5 stand in triple threat.
Okay.
And then Sporting Clays had looked to be about 300 shooters on the main event.
Oh wow. Okay, so this seems like it was kind of a big deal then, in
Yes.
the Clays rule.
Yes, it was. So I want to say there was actually quite a few more, but the only way you can look is by looking at each event, and there's a lot of duplicated names in there because a lot of those people shot multiple events.
Right.
So I would say there was probably more than that as well, but there was hundreds and hundreds of people there.
Gotcha. All right. So divisions and winners. We have quite a few divisions to run through here, so we're gonna go pretty quick.
Yeah. So I'll so for the clays, we'll just do this. So the main event for the clays, they call it the CZ Black and Gold course. So first place was Gavin Miles, second place Corey Cruz, and third place John Monroe.
Mm-hmm.
Within that event, there was the ladies. First place ladies was Diana Mean, second place Alan Willis, and third place Yin Sato. I'm going to go with that.
Okay.
And then juniors in that event, Casey Sartor, Joshua Salinas, Hunter Barnes. In the prelim, the Promatic prelim, Mr. Gavin Miles again was first, followed by Corey Cruz again, and then William Walton. Ladies was Alan Willis, then Diana Mean and Elizabeth White. And juniors, Jordan Acevedo, Clay Robertson, and then Tanner Taylor. Fee task, same names again. Corey Cruz, followed by Gavin Miles and Derek Mean. Ladies, Elizabeth White, Alan Willis, and Lori Daniel. Juniors, Joshua Salinas, Hunter Barnes, and Peyton Meyer. In the mini shell 5-stand is Gavin Miles winning, followed by Colton Rayleigh, and then Chris McAfee. Ladies was Lori Daniel, Elizabeth White, and Norette Underwood. Juniors, Austin Alderette, Frankie Ramirez, and Grady Reynolds. Okay, and then in the three-gun event, you had the winner of Keith Garcia, second place Jay Christiansen, and third place, I know that guy, and third place Riley Kropf.
Yeah, we know all three of those guys.
We do, and it was a tight race. Well, at least first and second. He got me by 1.5 points.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah. The Rimfire event, so they had it split. You could shoot limited or open, limited being iron sights, open being any kind of optics you want.
Mm-hmm.
Rimfire limited, Jack Copeland took first place in that one, followed by Jeff Cramblett, and Kurt will go with W. Don't know how to say his name.
Wojciech?
I'm going to go with
W.
Wajawiz. I don't know.
There's too many consonants in there, Kurt. We can't figure out your last name.
That's right. Rimfire Open, the Aussie Mark Eidstein, followed by Jess Clark of Clark Custom Guns. Oh. And then third place was Sam Schiller. The mini shell 5-stand of the triple threat shooters. The winner of that was Derek Main, followed by Corey Cruz, then David Miller. So then coming down to the triple threat award, which was the big prize everybody was going for, Rob Romero took high honors in that, and followed by Sam Schiller, and then myself, Jay Christiansen.
Hey, so you actually had a pretty good match on this.
Not too bad. So the 5-stand event that we had to shoot, little caveat here, it had to be shot with the Aguila mini shell shot shells.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not to mention.
Did you try to
I'm sorry.
octoload, by the way? So each of these is like about a half of the size of a normal shotgun shell. So when you figure out like in your palm, you can quad load. Do
Well,
some math. You could octoload.
they're actually about 1.75 inches in length.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, you you could try to pick up about 8 shells and they just turn into Skittles. I mean, they just fly everywhere. You can't even hold them. But it does turn a 14 round tube into about a 21 round tube, I think.
No kidding.
Yeah, it's quite a bit, but there's absolutely no way for it to cycle in an automatic of any kind.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, so we had to shoot them through an over under. You could supply your own, or they had Blosser over unders for use there as well.
Oh, you could shoot your own on that one. That's kind of a bummer. I thought everyone had to
Yeah,
shoot the same guns.
well, no, the guns you could shoot your own gun, but
Huh.
everybody had to use those shells, so there was no advantage. Uh, well, in fact, Rob Romero shot one of the loner Blossers, so kudos to him. He did it with a gun he doesn't ever shoot with shells he never shoots.
Right.
So
Interesting. Well, okay, so I gotta say there that if the sporting clay or the clay shooters can use their own gun, I mean that just kind of gets rid of
yeah,
the stage gun thing, right? Like, oh, you can shoot this stage gun that doesn't fit you, or you can shoot your $25,000 shotgun that some old craftsman in the
yeah,
like a blacksmith shop custom fit to you. That's kind of a bummer.
yeah. You could. I mean, but it was for everybody. So I mean,
Sure.
nobody was required to use the stage gun or
Right.
the loner guns, but the mini shells are something else, especially with a 20-mile-an-hour wind crossing and blowing clays all over the place. It was
Oh, they had mini shell. Oh, no, wait. Okay, so how about the targets? Were the targets normal size, or were the targets mini
yeah,
too?
the targets were standard clay
Okay,
pigeons.
and then mini shells. So do they not
Yeah.
go nearly as far as like a normal shell goes? I'm assuming.
Well, so one guy said it best. He said it's like throwing a thimble full of salt out there and just hoping you hit something. So yeah, it was pretty tough. It was definitely tougher with the little shells.
I got you. Okay, so Keith Garcia won TAC Ops, TAC Limited. Rob Romero won the Triple Threat Award.
Yep.
I got a question on this right here, and maybe you don't want to get into this, but I kind of want to get into this. So Rob Romero works for SMD. He's a partner in the company, Strategic Match Design. They were contracted to set up the 3-gun portion of this match. So Rob got paid to come out, set up this match, gets to shoot it as well, and then he walks away with the top prize. So what do you think about the person who was paid to set up the match, setting up the match, then shooting it and winning top honors? No one's taken away the fact that Rob is a fantastic shooter, but just the concept in principle. What do you think about that?
So I guess mixed feelings in some ways. So in this case, I don't have a problem because yes, he showed up and set up the 3-gun event. But he had no advantage in the clay event. He had no advantage in the Rimfire challenge event. And I wouldn't even say that he had an advantage necessarily in the 3-gun event. I don't think, if I remember correctly, I'm not sure they even actually designed the stages. I think they just showed up. No, they had to design the stages. Like I said, in this event overall, I don't necessarily have a problem with it, being that he didn't set up the clay shoot and he didn't set up Rimfire challenge, and and he didn't. It's not like he won the 3-gun event, so that didn't necessarily have any bearing on it either way. Other matches where guys are setting up stages and matches months in advance, and in some cases, hearing that people are basically shooting and proving stages ahead of events, that obviously is a problem.
Right. Okay.
So,
all right. So what other shooting opportunities did they have at the Aguila Cup?
So they had for the rim in kind of conjunction with the Rimfire challenge, they had the first shots kind of clinic they did Saturday morning. So basically, anybody that wanted to show up and learn how to shoot, Rimfire challenge or Steel challenge, You could show up. They had guns and ammo provided by, I believe it was Tandem Cross. Ammo, of course, provided by Aguila. So there was plenty of people there for that. Also, Keith Garcia on Friday put on 2 separate 3-gun clinics, one in the morning, one in the afternoon, that were actually free of charge to anybody participating in the event.
Oh, that's cool.
So that was pretty neat. Also, I know CZ, Blosser, and ATI all had demo guns out there for people to try out as far as shotguns. Blosser and CZ were set up on the trap and skeet courses. ATI had a station out there on the Sporting Clays practice course where you could try out some of their shotguns as well.
I gotcha. Now, did you go to the Garcia clinic at all?
I thought about it.
Yeah.
I know the afternoon one was full and the morning one was I think it was getting kind of limited on slots. And on one hand, I thought if I showed up that Keith would look at me and tell me to get out, or I didn't want to. I didn't feel like it would be right to take a slot from somebody that may be just starting out and wanting to try out 3-gun for the first time.
I gotcha. That's very noble. Did you happen to check out NSSF First Shots? I've heard so much about the program, but I've never actually seen it in action, so I have no clue what it involves.
Well, I actually took advantage of that by taking my older daughter. I brought her up with me, my little road dog. Brought her up and actually not let her, but she went through the NSSF program there. She's shot with me before, but I wanted her to take it from another person because she tends to listen to other people better than she'll listen to myself.
Yeah, it's like trying to learn to drive a clutch from your dad. It's like
exactly.
There's some communication issues, if you will.
Yep. Yeah. So she took advantage of that. Got to shoot a really cool little tandem cross pistol, and basically learned what I've been teaching her over again, and it maybe stuck this time because somebody else told her.
Yeah. So what did she think? Did she like it?
Oh yeah, she absolutely loves it. Yeah, as soon as she's strong enough to hold the guns up long enough, she's going to start competing.
Nice. How old is she?
Yep. My oldest is going to actually be 13 this year.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Good times.
So, yeah.
All right, man. Well, that's great to hear. It's cool that the NSSF thing, it worked at least for your family. All right, man. Let's get into the recon criteria. What was the match flavor?
So, really, best I could come up with there is, kind of an all-around skills. Like I said, if you're competing in the triple threat. Other than that, it's kind of traditional clay shooting style match. And then, Rimfire challenge and is always a speed event, and 3-gun, the stages, they were basically short, quick, not much technical things going into those stages.
Any just kind of planning or anything?
I mean, very minimal. So, one of the things with the rules on that, you had to start your shotgun with only 8 rounds in it, not 8 plus 1 like we're used to.
Oh.
But each stage had 10 shotgun targets. So, a dual load would get you through it. Somebody like me, I'm a quad loader, so that's more comfortable. I just threw a quad load in to start and then shot all the shotgun targets. There was basically the same pistol and rifle targets on each stage. Basically about 6 rifle targets and about 10 pistol targets as well.
I got you. Okay, so they're pretty basic stages, like a 3-gun experience kind of thing. Just get
exactly
to it. So I'm gathering that the idea of the match is to encourage crossover. Seems like they want people to check out other disciplines.
Yes. Yeah, encourage crossover, check out all the disciplines. Also, encourage beginners and new people to each of the events to come in and try that stuff out. All the events you could borrow equipment, and they had loaner equipment. They had ammo on site. Basically, you could show up with nothing, and we would get you through all the events.
That's pretty cool. I like stuff like that. It makes it really low barrier entry for people to come out and play.
Exactly, and let me clarify on the
Yeah,
three
go
gun
ahead.
stages there. You know, to experienced shooters, the stages were very simple, very fast, not technical at all. Now, to beginners or less experienced shooters, you know, having all three guns on all three stages, having to transition and do a little bit of loading. You know, some of the shooters, it's not that easy. But it wasn't so difficult that it would scare anybody off that were there to try it for the first time.
I got you. And that's a fine balance when you have those competing goals, right?
Right.
To make something fun and interesting for the experienced people, and then to make it accessible to new folks as well.
Exactly. You know, and and talking to, I talked to Charles and Rob a little bit about it. You know, they initially Three Gun Nation was supposed to be putting on the three gun event,
Mm-hmm.
and it was going to basically be some classifier stages. And so, SMD kind of last minute was brought in to run that event. So they wanted to kind of keep the stages that way, but they're planning next year to hopefully expand the three gun event a little bit more, maybe add another stage or two, and maybe, put in a little bit more technical aspects to those stages.
Right. 'Cause there were 3 stages, is that right?
Correct. There was 3 stages.
Okay. I gotcha. Okay, so skills utilized.
Like I said, it's pretty standard. Basically, weapon transitions. There was minimal shotgun loading. There really wasn't any rifle or pistol loading necessary unless you threw a lot of extra pistol shots. The the rifle shots were tied on 2 of the stages. They had little U-shaped clay holders. They were using the rabbit style clays, and had those about 30 to 50 yards. And then the other stage with the rifle was offhand, had some steel plates at about, I'd say, 50 or 60 yards. Pistol plates were kind of small, little 4-inch rounds, or like the 4x10 rectangles, 10 to 15 yards away. And nothing extremely physical, no lot of running. There wasn't any circus props or any kind of odd shooting positions you had to deal with.
I gotcha. So the clays at 30 to 50 yards, that had to eat some new people's lunch. That's not an easy target.
Yeah, it definitely did. So on both of those stages, you were able to brace with your rifles. So one of them, you actually had a barricade you could shoot off, and the other, you were basically your guns were on a table in front of you, and you had a doorway basically, so you could actually brace up against the side of the doorway there with your rifle to shoot those targets. So you did have a stable shooting position, but yes, like you said, those little clays can give people fits sometimes.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, so the terrain. What was the terrain like there?
Just straight bay stages, basically. The bays they built were new, so but your shooting position, one of them you were basically running a few steps across some rock type terrain. Another one you were just standing right there, static in a doorway, and the other you started at that barricade and then just ran up into some flat grassy area.
Okay. And farthest shot, number of long range shots.
Yeah, farthest shot would be the offhand rifle at the big plates at about 50 to 60 yards.
Okay. And nothing crazy far with the pistol or shotgun?
Pistol targets I would say were 10 to 15 yards, and shotgun there was a few plates that probably got out to about 20 yards, the little triangles. So you actually did have to choke up for those a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, there
Uh,
was a few guys trying to shoot those with their cylinder choke, and you could just see the nice giant pattern of bird shot on the dirt behind it, and that little plate would just wiggle and just stay up.
I love when when you see like the big splash, like you said, the big cylinder pattern and like the splash down like that. You know,
Oh yeah,
so I mean, this is dumb, but this is where my mind goes. It almost makes you think like I could stand over there.
yeah, just about probably. It might sting a little, but it probably wouldn't kill you.
Yeah, cover your teeth and be good to go.
Yep.
All right. So logistics, how was check-in, scoring, all that good stuff?
Yeah, so check in. Basically, you show up to the range. They had people pointing you to the proper parking lot area. They had a little kind of Connex sized building set up. You walked in there, checked in. They gave you an envelope with a map of the range, and you paid off any other events you needed to pay for. You got you your goodie bag and bags of candy and trail mix, and you're on your way.
Sweet. Candy and trail mix. Not bad.
Yeah, so uh, yeah, I guess I can go in right there. They had baskets in the clubhouse and the check-in, the registration building that they had Aguila branded big heavy bags of trail mix and peppermints and gummy bears that were just help yourself.
Sweet. How many
Yeah.
bags of gummy bears did you take, Jay?
Well, they didn't fit my diet, so my daughter got a bag. I went through a couple bags of trail mix though.
Right on.
So yeah, registration. So once you did all that, you were basically good to go. You had your start times for the clay events on Friday, and then, like I said, the rest of the weekend was open. So you just kind of came and went as you pleased.
And then this is probably like a good place to cover this. I know that they had a big dinner event one of the nights. Did you guys go to that one?
We did not. I did not go to that. Yeah, it was supposed to be a Wade Bowen concert. He had to cancel, and they had another group brought in. I cannot remember the name of them, but it was a dinner and concert that evening. And I believe it was there on property as well.
Okay,
But I did not attend.
All right. So tell me about the venue. So Fossil Point Sporting Grounds. I had never heard of it until this Aguila Cup came along, and I don't know anyone that shot there. So tell me about it.
Yeah, so it's a very big. I want to say it's around the 1,000-acre range, but it is. It's mainly a clays range. It's got a very nice clubhouse, very nice trap and skeet ranges. The sporting clays, feed task, 5 stand is all spread out across the property. They have a really nice little pistol and rifle range as well, with its own little kind of clubhouse that's up toward the front of the property. So it's spread out away from the clays. The 3-gun bays that they built are in the back end of the property, out by the closer to the RV parking, and and we didn't go to them, but they also said they had some other bays out on the another end of the property as well. But it's a very nice facility, beautiful clubhouse, of course, beautiful terrain. It's very hilly. You can see when you're up on the top there, you can see for miles in every direction.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep.
So what else? What else did they have at the venue there?
So other things they had, I guess, at the event, they had vendor booths set up and everything. They had a couple food trucks that was serving some burgers and tacos. They had some barbecue brisket tacos that I think you would have been.
Yeah, buddy. Now we're
Dave.
talking. Singing my tune right there.
Not Dickies either.
But still the best restaurant in Navasota, Texas. Even though they've gone out of business.
Well, yeah. You got to go up to College Station and get some good food around there.
That's right.
Anyhow, several vendor tents set up. Of the usual names is Briley and ATI and CZ Blosser. Girl with a gun. They had a guy there with Hunter's Gold shooting glasses that was actually letting people demo his glasses, so you could show up and say you wanted to try them out, take a pair of his $300 and something glasses and go shoot for the day and bring them back later when you're done.
Interesting.
Yeah. Other than that, as far as the facility goes, it was easy to get to. Google Maps take you right there to the front gate. It's basically about 30 minutes from like where I was staying, which was north of Dallas and Fort Worth. The DFW airport's only about an hour and 15 minutes away, so not too far of a drive. The host hotel also was about 30 minutes from the range, which according to the Serenos had an excellent bar, and they would buy drinks for you from 5:30 to 7:30 every day.
Sweet.
It's free hotel happy hour.
Sounds awesome. All right, man. So what was the pre-com, the pre-communication like?
Yeah, pre-communication basically was through email. Aguila Cup Facebook page was pretty busy with promoting sponsors and kind of keeping everybody up to date. Mainly the email communication through the match coordinator kind of kept everything up to date on what we needed to know leading up to the event.
All right. Okay. Staff. How was the staff?
So staff was extremely friendly. Registration inside the clubhouse. The trappers working the 5-stand event. They were friendly. Treated everybody pretty fairly. Rimfire Challenge, same thing. The 3-gun staff basically was Charles and Rob of SMD, and then Sky Killian, Patrick Talbot, and Riley Crop were there helping out from ETTS range. They provided some of the targetry.
Oh, cool.
And then I can't help myself. I also jumped in and helped out, worked the 3-gun a little bit there when they kind of seemed to get overwhelmed, and some of the guys had to go shoot their own events.
I gotcha. Well, that was nice of you.
Yeah, what can I say?
All right. So the fun factor. What was the fun factor like here, Jay?
So it was a fun match, fun event. Getting to kind of shoot the different events. Cross competing a little bit. Meeting people from other disciplines. Like I said, it being the open squatting, especially for the 3-gun, you weren't spending the whole day all weekend with your squad or the usual people, so it was kind of just a come and go as you please type thing. Some people showed up, shot real quick and left. Others kind of hung around and just, did the usual hanging around with everybody. The other events, of course, are fun. It was a fun match overall. As long as you knew what you were there for and you weren't expecting to have a big spectacle 3-gun match like usual.
Mm-hmm. Now, was there any sort of clay shooter versus 3-gunner turf war or anything like that?
No. The 3-gunners, we kind of knew our place on the clay range, and the clays guys knew their place on the 3-gun range.
Oh, nice. Well, it's cool. Then even experts can add a little bit of humility, right, to the whole experience.
Yeah, I mean, and you had the clay guys, like, you're up there watching or something, and they're looking at stages, and they're kind of like, hey man, so what'd you do on this one?
Oh, no kidding. Nice.
So,
So you got
yeah,
to
and kind
take
of
a couple people under your wing and help them out.
interact with them a little bit and just kind of give a couple little tips and things here. See some of the inexperienced guys or first timers that were showing up to try it out. See some things that they were doing and say, hey man, why don't you try this or do that? And so they seem to kind of enjoy that a little bit. And a lot of those guys that like the Rimfire Challenge guys, that was their first time ever trying out 3-gun, and now they're going to go shoot other 3-gun matches because they just had an absolute blast.
Cool. Now,
Yeah.
what did you think of Rimfire and I guess also of 5-stand?
Yeah, so that was my first time shooting 5-stand. I shoot sporting clays quite a bit, so 5-stand was definitely a little different. It takes a little more brain power than I had in me that weekend. Kind of having to having to remember where the traps are throwing the clays.
Yeah.
But the Rimfire Challenge was cool. I felt like that was kind of a pretty, I don't want to say easy transition, but it was a little more familiar. There's plenty of times that we're standing in one spot, hosing steel targets.
Yeah.
So that wasn't a terrible transition. Now changing to I shot open rimfire, so shooting with dots is a little bit different on the pistol, and just shooting a 22 real fast like that's a little different. But that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we used to do a 22 night on the there was like a defensive pistol league where I used to work, and I can't remember what the schedule was. It doesn't really matter to the story, so I should have left that part out. But we would do a 22 night where guys would bring their pistols out, and I had like a Glock 17 at the time that I shot in competition. I had like a 22 conversion kit for it, and I would shoot the targets just like everybody else would. And I remember one of the dudes he's like, hey, here try my pistol, and he's got this like bull barrel, like seriously like 1.5 inch barrel on this 22, and the thing's like, I'm exaggerating, but it's like Joker long, right, for a pistol. And I remember just like how easy it was to point that thing. The trigger was less than 2 pounds, and it was just like ding 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 ding. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
And yeah, the rimfire is like a kick in the pants. It is a good time, man. I haven't shot that in a long time. I have to get out and do some again.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Of course, I didn't have the equipment for it, so
Yeah,
but I know a guy, so I borrowed some gear and a
yeah,
whole bunch
those are the
of
best guys to know.
Now, of course, with that, like I said before, Tandem Cross was there with loaner guns, and I don't know if you've ever seen theirs, but they've
I
got some
haven't.
pretty tricked out 22 rifle and pistols. Ones that are now on my list of acquisitions in the future.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's great to hear. So it's a win for Tandem Cross. They get to put their cool stuff in front of you, and now it goes on the Christmas list.
Yep, that's right.
I like it. All right, man. So the match fee quotient. I'm glad you did the math on this one here because this one's kind of confusing. So this is a new one that we added for 2018. We take the match fee divided by the number of stages, and we ask how many would you shoot again. So for 3-gun, we have 3 stages of $60 entries, $20 per stage. Rimfire, there were 4 stages times 2 guns, and $60. It's 15 or 750 per stage. So how many of these would you shoot again?
So Rimfire, I would shoot all the Rimfire stages again. Because of course within those stages you get 5 runs. I'm sorry. Yes, 5 runs on each.
Oh,
With
that's
each
right.
gun.
It's like Steel Challenge, right? They throw away your crappy ones.
Correct. It was either you shoot 5 and they keep 4, or is it shoot 4? I think it's shoot 5 and keep 4.
Yeah.
So you kind of got a lot of bang for your buck on the Rimfire Challenge side. The 3-gun stages at $20 per stage. I would definitely shoot one of those stages again because I screwed it up. Other than that, Yeah, I'd probably shoot them all again.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were fun little stages. You know, being that we shoot a lot of the big major matches that have very long terrain stages. You
Mhm.
know, these were 20 to 30 second stages on the fast guys, and you know we're used to 60 to 90 second stages for $20 a piece.
Right.
But for what these were, I'd probably pay to shoot them again.
Interesting. So the what was I going to say about the three gun? I thought I had a thought on the three gun stages. So which one did you screw up and what did you screw up?
So
Oh yeah,
the
here.
well, it was the second stage I shot. I'm not I actually am not sure of what the stage numbers were. Um, so basically, the stage with the table where the guns were staged in front of you,
Mm-hmm.
you had 6 clay targets back on a berm at about, I'd say, 40-ish yards. You had 4 triangle shotgun targets on each side berm, and then 2 kind of in the middle. And then with the pistol, you had a plate rack to your left, and about I guess it was probably about 6 or 8 of the tall rectangles, or no, I'm sorry, 4-inch circles on the right. And so I started with the shotgun. Well, the first thing I did was picked up my shotgun, pointed it at the pistol plate rack, and stared at it for 2 seconds before I realized that that wasn't a shotgun target, and then proceeded to shoot the rest of the stage. So basically, I wasted 2 seconds on a 30-second stage, and that cost myself the win in the three gun event anyway.
Oh man, like that sucks. Like that one thing you can point at, like, oh, if I had just
Yep.
shot faster, that one right there.
Well, if I'd have just picked up the gun and started shooting immediately, like I would normally do, then you know.
Well, at least you didn't shoot
Anyway,
the pistol targets with a shotgun and get like failure to engages or something like that.
yeah, it was because I think it was either Rob or Charles was running me, and when I picked up that shotgun and pointed at the plate rack, afterwards I talked to him. And he said, "Man, I'm sure glad you didn't start shooting at that plate rack with a shotgun." I said, "Me too." So, yeah, that one I would shoot again simply because I screwed it up, and it was a fun stage as well. The others were fun, short, quick stages, pretty typical of any base style match.
Hmm. Can you imagine if like the major three gun matches that we shoot, if we got to shoot the stages 5 times and they take your best one?
Yeah, that'd be pretty awesome.
That'd be sweet. That would take
Yeah,
like 2 weeks to do a match though.
that it would. I guess one other thing I forgot to mention also on the divisions for the three gun, there was no open class, so anybody shooting three gun was basically tac ops or limited equipped gear.
Hmm.
So
And
that
probably
was
no real benefit to tac ops over limited on that.
no. The only
Farthest
difference
target's
would have been
50.
magnified optic, and it wasn't split between tac ops and limited and scoring or anything anyway. So
Right. Yeah, and then if your farthest target's only 50, I mean, you can do that on 1X.
yeah, exactly. That's what I did.
All right, man. Well, the last one here, this one's always a crowd pleaser. Funny things that happen at the match.
Got to be honest. Funniest thing to me was when I started a plate rack and didn't shoot anything for a minute.
That's kind of funny to me too, but I wasn't there.
I'm glad. I'm glad. And it's clear as day on the video too, so that makes it even worse.
Yeah,
But
I saw it.
yeah. I'm like I'm watching the video back and I'm yelling at myself. I'm like, "What are you doing?" It's like taking
I thought
forever.
the same
Start
thing.
shoot something.
I thought the same thing. I was like, what is he waiting for? Is there like a swinger over there, like an activated target?
Yeah. Um, other than that, really, like I said, being the people were kind of in and out all day, we didn't have the typical three gun crowd interaction.
Hmm.
Of course, we saw some of the typical characters. Nick Miller and Bill Corcoran came through, and
Oh,
Jason Telke. I got to spend a little more time with Sky and Riley and Patrick, and of course Riley, being the kid that he is, he had a few shenanigans he was trying to pull on me, but I wasn't biting in the way he wanted. So Other than
Well,
that,
did you miss
I'm
that
sorry.
that camaraderie then of the squads? Do you think that's like an element that for next year that they can improve upon or maybe add into it? Because that that really is a big part of the three gun experience is the squad portion.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of people that look forward to that part of matches, at least our major matches that we go to, uh, as much as the shooting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, at this match, know that they could. I don't necessarily know that they could really do it that way, just because of all the stuff going on. Because some of the triple threat shooters also were shooting in the main event clays and things, and they had specific times that they had to be on the clays ranges. Whereas with the three gun and the rimfire challenge, the way they were set up, being able just to kind of roll in and roll out and squeeze it in between all the other events and things that were going on. I don't know that they would necessarily be able to actually do squads for the three gun.
Right. So it's basically like everybody shooting through kind of thing.
Yeah, pretty much. Now there was a lot of people hanging out, standing around, watching. A little bit of heckling between those of us that know each other. Um, there's being that there's a lot of guys that aren't normally three gunners or aren't around. Some of us a lot. Uh, I don't think they would have took to the heckling the way that normal three gun crowd does.
Yeah. Tough crowd. Tough crowd.
Yeah, yeah, they're a little more serious over there on the clay shooting side.
Yeah. Um yeah. So one thing I want to tell you is we were talking about five stands. So my only five stand experience is I went and shot sporting clays with my brother and my dad. And there's this place over by my brother's house in Wisconsin that has like a half of sporting clays because I think sporting clays is like golf. It's like 18 or something. Is that right? Am I wrong on
It's
that?
usually 12 stations,
12. Okay.
and you'll shoot. So you'll alternate shooting stations. Like one station you'll shoot 10 targets, the next one you'll shoot 8,
Yeah.
and you do that through 12 stations.
Got it. So this was half. So they had six. It was like a par three of a sporting clays area, right?
It's a
But
little
they
nine
all
hole course.
yeah, exactly. They also had a five stand, which at first glance it doesn't look like five stand, but it's Wisconsin and they have an indoor five stand league for the winter.
Yeah,
Now, can you imagine?
yeah. I've
Can you
seen.
imagine that? Have you seen those?
Well, I've seen some of the indoor clay ranges. I believe Austin actually has one now. I think it's the Austin Gun Club or something like that has one, if I recall correctly.
Oh, so this is a trip. So let me describe it and see if this is the same thing you're talking about. So it's basically like an outbuilding kind of thing that's off of the main clubhouse kind of area. And so it basically looks like a patio that they enclosed. It has a huge wood burning stove in it, and overhead it has the natural gas uh heaters, right? So inside that place has got to be like 80 degrees in the wintertime. And then, outside's like negative 30 degrees. They have these big ports that they just and they open them up and you shoot out of them.
Nice.
And so in between, when you rotate around, you just close the port and warm back up, and you shoot out the window. And the clays come from over top. They come from all different directions and everything. And it was quite a kick in the pants. We shot it in the summertime, so it didn't really make a whole lot of sense because we could have been standing outside. But it was kind of a trip to think that they have a five stand winter league. You know,
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
yeah, not bad. I would totally do that if I lived in Wisconsin. I'd be in the five stand winter league.
There you go.
All right, man. So any final thoughts or anything you want to add to the match recon before we go to the audience questions on YouTube here?
Not really. They said it was a fun event. It's kind of a new experience, being able to cross over to the different disciplines. Um, I'd definitely like to give it another go. See if I could improve my performance from this year, but I would definitely recommend it. I would recommend it as a whole event. So Being that the 3-gun is just a few stages and they're pretty small and quick, it's not something that you're probably going to want to travel long ways to go to. But I would, if it's something that you've got open time in your schedule, I would definitely recommend going to it. If anything, to compete in the triple threat, the triple threat award challenge, I guess you could call it. Compete in the different events, try out new stuff. And like I said, you don't have to show up with all the gear. You can just bring what you have, and everything else you could actually borrow on site.
Gotcha. All right. Well, that's good to hear. Okay. So first question up, then I guess I know the answer to this one. Steve Gabara, who actually went and shot this one. He's from Colorado, drove all the way down there to check it out. Do you plan on shooting the Aguila Cup 2019?
Yeah, I met Steve. Steve, it was good to see you, buddy. I definitely would. The only thing that I think would keep me away from it is depends on when the dates are for Task Force Dagger.
Yeah. I got you.
So, yes, I would absolutely shoot this event again. I definitely would.
Did you shoot a TFD?
I did not. It was 2 weeks in a row, and that is more than my monthly allotment of major matches.
Yeah, same here. All right, man. DJ has something to add here. Find a question.
DJ Petru.
DJ Petro, yeah. So he was down there doing scoring for Practice Score.
Yes, he was.
He's basically filling us in on his experience here, but he says, "What's up, boys?" The facility and the presentation was awesome. The roast brisket and the banquet was awesome. Brisket tacos were the bomb. And then he gives you a hard time about drinks, and he says, besides the two pro sporting clays guys that each broke 81 mini shell clays. I don't know what that's in reference to, but he says, as a shooting experience, what would you like to see added or changed?
Yeah, what he's referring to is the mini shell 5-stand event. Yeah. The guys, there was a couple pro guys that, pro clay shooters that broke over 80 targets on that event.
All right. Is that good? I'm not familiar with that.
Yes. That was
right. That's out of 100. I'm guessing.
Yeah, that's out of 100. I mean, that's the guys that shoot upper 90s in sporting clays pro courses.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's where my score typically is in sporting clays, or a little higher. Mini shells, it was very different.
Nice.
And I'm sorry, what was the second part to his question?
Second part was as a shooting experience, what would you like to see added or changed?
The only thing that I would say would be to maybe expand the 3-gun event a little bit larger, have it to where maybe add a stage or two, or make them a little bit, maybe a couple, like one or two of the stages a little longer.
Mm-hmm. Something dynamic, maybe.
Yeah, maybe throw a couple of those circus prop targets out there that we all love to see, and that some of the new guys would maybe get excited about.
Mm-hmm.
Try to make it set it apart a little bit, maybe make it a little more unique.
Yeah. So the argument there is like, right, you want the new shooter to have something that's achievable, but keeping that in mind, they also gave you mini shells to shoot out of borrowed guns. So
right, yeah, as the event as a whole, I don't know that there's, I'm always about making it bigger and better. I would say add more stages and more shooting, but that's just me. I just want to shoot more.
Yeah. So how about Rimfire? Was there enough stages there, or would you want to see more stages in Rimfire as well?
Yeah, I'd like to see more. I think there was 4 stages. But that was also enough. Like you said, you got 5 runs on each of the stages, so basically you had 20 stages with a pistol and 20 stages with a rifle. Mm-hmm. If you kind of factor it out that way.
It's pretty cool. It's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite a bit. I guess when you look at it that way, it's a lot of shooting.
All right, and then Steve also says 1,000 horses was the name of the Wade Bowen replacement. Not bad. Drink price went up though.
All right.
Okay, good to know.
Yep.
And then DJ asks.
Now, I'm sorry. In your little goodie bag, you did also get 2 free drink tickets. Just saying.
Oh, hey. All right, so go around, find the non-drinkers, grab all the tickets. DJ also says, how about swapping 5 stand for sporting clays?
I'm all about that. I love sporting clays. 5 stand was cool, new experience and everything. A few more rounds of that, I'd probably be a little more comfortable with it. I'm a lot more comfortable with the sporting clays, but I'd also maybe like to see, not have to use as many shells, maybe. No, it's that was a fun deal, and like I said, a new experience, and of course, Aguila being the title sponsor, I think that was kind of a cool little event they did with making you use the mini shells.
Yeah, because that is something unique to Aguila, right? Like I don't know anyone else that makes shells like that.
Yeah, I know there's some European companies that make some shells that are a little shorter. I don't know if they're quite that short.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of a thing that I think some of the Europeans have figured out with IPSC rules and length standards, that they can make shells a little shorter and fit a few extra in. But
gamer shells.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty unique to Aguila. They make those birdshot, buckshot, and slugs in those mini shells.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I got to get some of them slugs.
Yeah, they're you're gonna have to hand cycle them through your automatic, but they sure are soft.
Yeah. Huh. All right. Well, I gotta go shopping, man. So I think we're gonna wrap this one up. I gotta hit Cabela's or something like that. Well, cool, man. I think that wraps up the Aguila Cup match recon. Anything else that you want to add to it?
No, everybody try to come out and get that triple threat award if you can. It's a good time. It's a good match. It's a beautiful facility. So I would definitely recommend it.
Right on. You're going to have to fight Jay for it. So
that's right.
Jay, congratulations on your second place win there. Thank you so much for doing the match recon. I know this was a lot of recon to do because there were so many different events. So I appreciate you taking the time to do it and for being with me here on the Three Gun Show, man. Thank you.
Absolutely, Dave. Anytime.
Right on. Well, and for all you patrons listening, thank you so much for your support of the Three Gun Show. And if you're listening to this in the future, come join us on the Patreon. Watch these videos live that we're doing of the match recons and find out what the match was like right afterwards. So thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the range.
See ya.